Now that we have Severog ready to go, let's test him out with an animation, just so we can see what the cloth looks like right now, because there's no cloth animation. The cloth is not set up. So over here into our outliner, click on the Severog character, or in here. And over here in the animation tab, it says use animation blueprint. We want to change that to use animation asset, because this character also came with a whole bunch of cool animations that we'll be able to use. In the drop-down menu, go ahead and select on emote _ thriller. We're going to use this as a test animation. And then up here where it says play, do the drop-down arrow and click on simulate, because we don't want to go into full game mode. We just want to be able to play the animation in this window. Okay, and as our character moves around, you can see that let's move in close where we can really see. The cloth, it just looks like it's planks of wood or something. It just doesn't look like cloth, because there's no cloth animation set up on the character yet, and that's what we're going to do next. So we just wanted to test this out. Go ahead and click stop. And the next thing that we want to do is we want to go in here, double click on our Severog character, and that's going to open up our window. Drag it over here where we can see it. Get him all centered up, positioned where we can start working on him. And here's our asset details, where you're pretty familiar with this. If you haven't used the clothing or the cloth animation yet, that's over in the next tab. But here's where all of our materials are, so you're pretty familiar with that. Click on the clothing tab, and then click on the section selection, so that lights up in orange. Now we're ready to start adding the cloth simulation to our character. So the first thing we want to do is make sure that we have the section selection on, so that's highlighted in orange. Then we go over here and we select our first piece of clothing. Let's select this one that's right in front of the character. It's kind of like big straps that are hanging down from the neck. And go ahead and select that, and then what we need to do is right click, select create clothing data from selection, go over here, and it's already populated with Severog _ clothing. Let's add another _01, because we're going to have several pieces that are separate that we want to use. Go ahead and select that. This is the physics asset. Go ahead and leave that like that for now, and then click create. And now select it again. This is the step that I always forget and mess things up. So you want to select it again. It's not enough just to create it. Now we have to apply the clothing data. So go over here, apply clothing data, Severog clothing _01, and then it just adds that to the end, and click that. So it's going to add, very, very important. Now we want to go up here to activate cloth paint, turn that on, and what you see is that the clothing turns into pink. It turns bright pink, and what that means is that's rock solid. That's like a piece of wood or stone. Nothing moves as long as the color is in pink. So we see over here in our clothing tab, Unreal Engine has given us a whole bunch of settings here to use. So we use the brush setting, and most of the time it's on 128 when you first start out, so it's really big like this, the size of the brush. So you're going to want to turn this down to 10. I usually bring it down to around 10, 15, somewhere around there. The paint value, this is usually set at 100%, which is fine for a lot of cases, but I like to dial that up to 300% just to make sure that I'm painting out everything and there's nothing left. So I go ahead and put that to 300%. Now, what we're going to do, since we have our activated cloth here, we've got our brush. Let's move in a little bit closer. And you're following along with me, so just take your time doing this because this is kind of really critical how this is done. And go ahead and start with the left mouse button. Just start painting out the pink. And you'll see that it turns white. Just go up about halfway like that. Let's do the other side as well. If we rotate around, we want to make sure the back side is done as well. It usually does a pretty good job. So now the white part should be flexible like cloth. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Deactivate Cloth Paint now. And we get this really weird looking funky thing. So go over here to the Physics Asset and let's clear that. Now we've got a smooth cloth movement. Look how cool that is. Now what I've done here too is you want to go up to your character and go to Clothing and Wind Strength. This is usually set on 0, so there's no movement. If you put this on 0.2 or 0.5, you can get some wind simulation here. It's just kind of nice to see how your animation, how your cloth is looking as you work on it. Alright, so click Save. And now let's go over to our map and let's see what it looks like here. Let's go up here and add the idle animation. We don't want him moving all around too much. And then what we're going to need to do here is add some wind. So go up here to Search Classes, type in Wind, and you'll see Wind Directional Source comes up. So go ahead and drag that in here. It looks like a wind socket at an airport, and you can rotate it however you want. So let's just turn it to where the arrow is going to blow kind of towards us right now. And then over here on the strength, it's got 0.1. Let's just add that to 0.5 to give us a little more wind. And then we're going to go up here to Play. Click Play, and we can see that that piece of cloth, kind of hard to see, we got to kind of zoom it in. These pieces here are moving and flowing. These, the rest of them, are still stiff, but we're going to take care of that. We're going to create little cloth pieces and make those to where they blow as well. Click Stop. This is a good time to save all. Save our entire project. Okay, so that is step 1 in this video. In the next video, we're going to continue on and we're going to start painting cloth weight and animation into our Severog character.